Okay, this is a review video on factoring by grouping. If you tuned in, it's your lucky day because I'm taking the problem right off of your claw for tomorrow. So everybody in my 4th period class better watch this video if they want a free problem, since they're listening to me right now. So, factoring by grouping. I'm going to start off by grouping the first two terms and the second two terms. So what we want to do is we want to factor out a common factor out of these two terms. Now I did a little work on my calculator and I found out that 35 goes into both of these terms evenly. So we're going to factor out a 35, and then I can factor out, here we have 3 n's and here we have 2 of them. So I can factor out at most 2 n's from both. So factoring out a 35 out of 105, I get 3. 35 times 3 is 105. And then factoring out 2 n's from 3, we get 1 left over. And then 35 goes into 175 5 times. And taking an n squared from an n squared leaves us with 0 n's. Okay, so factoring out a common factor out of both of these terms, I know that 25 goes into both of those numbers evenly. But I want, since we're starting with a negative, we're going to factor out a negative 25. So that's going to give me 3n, and negative 25 into negative 125 is 5. Now again, we know we factored by grouping correctly if these two parentheses come out to be the same. So finally, we have two terms. We have this term here and this term here. So what do they have in common? They have a 3n plus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and factor it out. And so if I factor it out of this term, I get 35n squared left over. And if I factor it out of this term, I get minus 25 left over. Now at this point, you need to look at your factors to see if you can factor it any farther. Okay? And you should notice that both of these terms, we could factor out a greatest common factor, which is 5. So we could factor 5 out of here. Now anytime you factor out a constant, we want to put it out front. So if I factor out a 5, I'm going to put it out front. Running out of room here, so I'm going to have 5. Then the 3n plus 5. And then we factored out a 5, so that's going to leave me with 7n squared. And factoring out a 5 out of 25, minus 5. And there's nothing I can do to factor that any further. So there is my answer. Okay, now on the back side of this worksheet, we have factoring the difference of squares. So when we factor the difference of squares, we could write it like this. A squared minus b squared. Change the format. And then to factor it, we would do a plus b times a minus b. Just like that. So, a squared minus 8 squared. Now we have it in the correct format. So factoring, we would have a plus b. So a plus 8 times a minus 8. And we can't factor it any further than that. Let's go down here. Let's look at 12. So putting it in the correct format, 4 squared is 16. So 4b squared minus 1 squared. So now that we have it in the correct format, we can use the formula that we wrote up here. We're going to have a plus b, a minus b. So 4b plus 1 and 4b minus 1. And we can't factor either one of these any farther, and so that would be our answer. Thanks for watching.